so where's your band? Like, Toshín's a band. Like, where like, do you know? And I was just like, no, I'm Toshín. He'd be a really good presenter for radio. And I was kind of like, I would. And she was like, yeah. So she's like, I was like, okay. She was like, I'll put you in contact with the manager here. I feel like music is one thing that will never let me down.
Oh.
You know, it'll never, well, apart from financially. You know, maybe we can start like a extravaganza culture here if there isn't one already in Berlin. I feel like Berlin has everything.
Hi, welcome back to Unsigned Berlin. I'm your host, Sebastian Sheath. For this week's episode, I sat down with Toshín. She's an R&B artist. She's only recently moved to Berlin and is, of course, independent. She's originally from Ireland. We talk about her music, of course, and her roots in Ireland, her roots with gospel music and growing up around the church. She's very active in all kinds of scenes around the live music scene. We talk about a show she did that was helping people with awareness and mental health issues surrounding sexual assault. And we talk about, on the completely other side, her drag-influenced, soul-influenced, Motown-influenced show, Toshín's Extravaganza, which is part of a series she's doing. We talk about all kinds of things. Her radio show on RTE, which is called Tea with Toshín. And for those who don't know, RTE is Irish public radio. It's like BBC for the UK or NPR for the US. Before we get into it, it's very useful always if you can leave a review on your podcast platform of choice, be that Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, whatever it is. You can share around. That obviously helps a lot. And you can follow us on any social media platform, whether it's Twitter or X or Instagram or TikTok, where we're everywhere, and it really helps support the podcast. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Okay, do you want to start off with maybe talking about a little bit about the album? It's mid-rollout. As this comes out, there's 2 singles out, or maybe 1.
So basically, the album, I've decided that I'm not gonna release it for a while. I've decided only recently, that I'm gonna release an EP before the album.
Okay, what's the thinking behind that?
The thinking behind it is that I want to grow my Spotify listens and grow my fan base, especially that I've just moved to Berlin. You know, I just see things in a different light. Like if you talked to me 2-3 months ago, I would have been like, no, I'm releasing my album in September 2024. But then coming to Berlin and working with new musicians and trying to build a team, you know, the feedback that has been given to me is no, build your fan base a bit more and kind of write more songs, living in my fantasy. That's easier for people to, I guess it's easier to on the ears. You know, I feel like all my old songs Knock Knock and Eat Sleep Sex Desire and Oh Lord, they're very heavy and you know, rocky and if you're going on the S-Bahn, you don't want to be listening to that. You want to be listening to you know, a good vibe and so I want to kind of release an EP of just good vibes,
right, before
then the mental album comes out, you know. So give y'all a little starter, and then the main course will come.
And you released Defense, and it was the original idea was this is the lead single, and then you
Defense, yes. Yeah, I released Defense last year, October I think it was, or November, and I initially I was this is the lead single of the album, this is the direction I want the album to go in, but then I just think it's so typical of artists, we just change our minds so instantly, and things happen, and being in a new space can just change everything, you know. But I also think that's what is super beautiful about being an artist is we get to do that, you know. It's when you're starting a business and you have a business plan, you know, you need to kind of follow that business plan through. But as an artist, you can have a plan of okay, I want to release my album, I want to do this, but because you're an artist, it can just all change. So
is the EP that you're planning to release closer to Living in My Fantasy or Defense?
It's going to be Living in My Fantasy vibes. I want it to be really easy on the ears, good vibes, nothing too rocky, nothing too heavy, just showing a different side of Toshín that a lot of people haven't seen, but it's still diverse and it's still theatrical, but just more poppy, I guess.
The project is not just you, it's a band and there's a team behind it, which is really cool, by the way, that you put that at the forefront of your social media where you're like, Toshín, yes, it's my name, kind of, but like...
Yeah, it is my band as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like coming to Berlin has just like changed everything.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because is the band still in Ireland?
My band is still in Ireland, but yeah, I think now moving forward, Toshín is going to be more of just like me, myself, and I. Sounds so selfish. It's just all about me. No, but just because, like, of course, like, I live in Berlin now, my band aren't here anymore, so I guess the best thing to do is to put myself as the forefront, because I'm gonna have a different backing band all the time now, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess moving forward now is just kind of putting myself in the forefront.
Yeah. Do you feel like the idea to switch the EP and have the softer sound for this release is connected to the band switch as well, of not being able to work as directly with them?
No, not really, because I can always just go back home and record with them, you know, which I've done recently for my next single. But no, I think the idea for the EP is to just give the people what, like, my fans, give my fans something that's like just easy to listen to on transport or on the move or on the go, because I kind of found that out myself recently, that when like Tyler and like Thames released their albums, you know, it's an album that like, oh, okay, I'm going to Leipzig or I'm going to, you know, Frankfurt for the week or something, and then I'm like, oh, I have like a 2-3 hour journey ahead of me. I want something chill. I don't want something absolutely crazy, you know. And I feel like it's something that I haven't done before, you know. My first EP is a bit crazy, and I just want something chill and so that people can just listen to on the go. That's not like absolutely a 7-minute rock song, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, that's so intense.
You also have spoken, I don't know, it's written about you, that you want to do more gospel music.
Definitely. I come from the church, you know. I started in the church, as a lot of like black artists has, but yeah, I started in the church, God, since I was 12, you know. That's kind of where I started singing, you know. So those are definitely my roots, and you know, I would love to release some gospel music, and or even like gospel inspired songs. I did recently start writing a song called God Makes No Mistakes. I wouldn't say now it's a gospel song, but I want the music to be definitely really empowering and really gospely and really churchy, so that could be my first gospel single. Do you see that influence come through in the EP and then the rock stuff as well? I think the influence will definitely come through in the EP for sure, because it's gonna be like definitely like gospel music is like, not all the time, but majority of the time it's like really happy chords and like really like good vibes, and like I think God Makes No Mistakes will definitely be on the EP for sure, and yeah, it'll just be a bit of a sprinkle of what like my future gospel songs will be about. But that's what I love about Toshín, like Toshín, me, who I am. What I love about my artistry and my music is that I don't limit it to anything, you know. I don't limit it to just rock or soul or pop. You know, I can also do gospel and jazz, and I love how like my sound can be diverse.
Have you struggled with that at all in terms of like finding an identity that you can communicate easily?
I want to say no, but also I want to say yes. Like, no, up until recently is like people can get a bit confused, being like, oh, what's your buzz, like what do you actually do? And I wouldn't say musically, I would say like in the sense that I'm a radio presenter as well. Yeah. So people kind of get mixed up. Like, it's like, okay, are you a radio presenter? Right. Are you a performer? Like what is like your main thing? I blame myself for like mixing everything up on my social media and stuff. You know, I'm an artist, and I'm very, I guess, new to the social media thing, and like I didn't realize how confusing it can make people. And when you're in Ireland, and like I grew up in Ireland and I lived there for 25 years, you just presume that everybody knows you or knows like what you're doing because you've lived there for so long, which they do, but then you don't realize like moving to a new country is like what people see on your social media is what they're gonna think. Like,
Yeah.
do you know?
So you're like, I do music, and they're like, nah, you're a radio host.
Literally,
that does music.
like I came here and everyone's like, so where's your band? Like Toshín's a band. Like where like, do you know? And I was just like, no, I'm Toshín. You know, there's so much confusion. I had to keep explaining myself a million times, and I'm like, no, yes, I am a radio presenter, but I'm a singer first and foremost. You know, I've not even done radio for a year.
Right.
You know,
almost though.
It's a year in July.
Yeah.
Do you know, God, you did your homework. I did. You did your homework.
You've also done like other stuff with, well, maybe introduce Tea with Toshín to people who don't know first, and then.
Yeah, Tea with Toshín is my radio show. It is on a radio station in Ireland, the nation's radio station called RTE, and it is a show that goes live every Friday at 1 p.m. Irish time, and it is about that, like, I have guests and I play Irish music. Recently started playing a lot of tracks from Berlin artists because they're just so good, and I also bring on a special guest each week and we spill the tea, like drama, but like there's literally no drama. Like, no one is like, everyone is too scared to actually just like spill the tea. But I do get some guests who like occasionally just want to like get things off their chest, but yeah, that's the main purpose of the show, and I've been doing it now for actually a year in this July. So yeah.
Have you learned anything in your year of doing it that you've kind of figured out how to pick guests that are going to be interesting to have on? Yeah.
I guess it's not really a learning thing. It's something that I said to myself at the start of you know, becoming a radio presenter, is that I want to give artists and people a platform, and creatives mainly a platform. You know, there's a lot of radio shows in Ireland and they only get like mainly musicians to come on. You know, and I was like, no, I want my show to be different. I want musicians to come on, of course, but I also want like actors and, you know, writers and, you know, social media people and, you know, sports people. I want everyone to come on. It just I don't want to limit my show to just artists. You know, I want it to be all kind of creators and people who just need a platform to share their products, I guess.
Yeah. When we've been doing this, which is a year and a half now.
Amazing.
The initial goal, it was musicians, and then independent musicians was like our target of who we wanted to have on. And sometimes you get people who have really incredible music, and music is all they focus on, which is great, but it also means that there's not a lot of things to talk about. And it's difficult to make sure that it's not repetitive. So when we started, it was like, okay, let's just see if we can get someone every week, because no one knows who we are, and now we can reach different people, which is really cool. But it's difficult still to find someone who it's like, oh, you're gonna have something you want to get off your chest. Exactly. Have you figured out a way to gauge before having someone on your show that you
see, it's hard to gauge sometimes, like, because I just want, like, I get a lot of emails and messages like, can I come on, and I find it hard to say no, because I remember when I was like a baby artist and I used to email hundreds and hundreds of I guess radio stations and, you know, podcasts, and be like, oh, can I come on? And, you know, and just maybe I'll get one reply, you know. So when people reach out to me, I'm like, of course you can come on, because I remember when I was like a baby Toshín and no one replied to me. So I guess I feel bad, but also like people who do come on are like really like good quality, like they have things to say, like, you know, and good quality people. That sounds so bad. Well, they have.
But there's an element of entertainment as well. It's like you can be a great musician and a great person, and not be entertaining to listen to for someone who doesn't care about just music.
Exactly. And, you know, there's some people who like are very nervous, you know, you can see them on stage and they're amazing performers, but they come on and they don't know what to say. You know, they're very nervous. So it kind of depends on me as well to help them and to get out of that, like, you know, bubble. So it really depends. Like, as much as we can say that the artist or the person is nervous or they're not really great at talking or they're very limited to what they're talking about, you know, I also do think it's down to the presenter to, you know, be prepared enough to, you know, be able to get things out of them. Do you know what I mean?
The show is on RTE, which is a really big deal. National radio, which for people listening is, I don't know, I guess the equivalent of ABB here,
Yeah.
or BBC in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you pitch to them? How did you get involved with them?
How I got to them was kind of funny, but maybe not funny. But you can decide.
Strange.
Yeah, it's strange. random. That's a good word. So basically, during COVID, I did an interview with them on the station that I'm working on now, because there's like loads of stations. There's like RT Pulse, RT Gold, RT Lyric. I work in RT Pulse, which is like digital radio. It's actually not on the radio. It doesn't come out on the, so it's like digital radio, so people can listen to it online. And the presenter back then, she just interviewed me for my single that I had coming out then, which was She. And then after the interview, she was just like, oh, and I, obviously because it was COVID, it was like remote. I done it like, it's through Zoom. So she's like, oh, you'd be a really good performer, or not performer.
Presenter.
I'm a good performer though. You'd be a really good presenter for radio. And I was kind of like, I would. And she was like, yeah. So she's like, oh, I was like, okay. She was like, I'll put you in contact with the manager here. So I was just like, okay. So I had a phone call with the manager. I kind of told her my idea of tea with Toshín. And then she was kind of like, yeah, that sounds good, but the radio station is currently closed, so we can't really bring you in for training, and it can't be remote. So that's kind of the dream busted, but also it wasn't really a dream. It was just kind of like,
this would be cool.
You know, so that was put on pause for like a year or two. And then when RTE opened again, I went in to do another interview with the same person, Fanula. And then Fanula was kind of like, oh, Sarah's upstairs, the manager. Do you want to go up and talk to her? And I was kind of like, oh, okay. So then I went up, had a coffee with her, and I told her the idea again. And then she was like, perfect. Do you want to start training next week?
Cool.
And then I did 6 weeks of training, and that was it.
What does the training involve?
It was because in the studio there's like this like intimidating desk, really intimidating desk with loads of buttons, and there's like big monitors and screens, and like you really need to know how to work it and like multitask, and it's a lot. So
it was a lot for me just to learn to do interviews. And well, actually I was doing the tech, but I was pretty much just hitting record and leaving it. And now we have Yannick's in the other room doing it. You have a full mixing desk and stuff to deal with.
Those, it's so intimidating, but then when you get to do it, it's just like, oh my god, this is grand. Like, you know,
it's like there's so many buttons, but it's actually just 6 buttons repeated.
Literally, no, but that's literally like 6 mics and this and it's so easy. It's so easy, but it also like taught me that like, oh, we can be our own biggest enemies and our own biggest, like, you know, we limit ourselves so much, because I would see that and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do radio, I don't want to do this, but like then I trained and I was like, this is so fine. Like, you know, so yeah.
Well, you also play, I really appreciate that you play just a bunch of random different genres. Because unless I'm listening to an album, I would typically just go through a bunch of random different genres of like, oh no, I want this song. Or
like a playlist, like, you know, I guess, I don't know about you, but like I have a few different Spotify playlists that I just listen to, and it's all random. It's not like, you know, the only time I want to listen to something like, you know, the same genre is like when I'm listening to an album. Or like listening to, I don't know, maybe a podcast or something that has music on after, is I want to listen to the same thing. Like, there's one album that I loved, that it was like the same artist, but she had like loads of different like genres, I guess, in the album, and it's Ray.
Oh yeah.
You've heard of Ray?
Yeah.
Of course. So
she's doing amazing right now.
So good. I'm obsessed with her. But her album that she released, I think last year, the year before it, just all different genres in one, but it still sounded the same.
It's more like grouped by energy as opposed to
she's so good, so smart.
How do you, well, was that something that was part of your show, like the variety of genres from the very beginning?
Yeah, well, I think when I started, I was told that I was only allowed to play like urban and R&B and hip hop, but like as you get comfortable with the team, you just kind of do what you want.
Also, as they trust you, I guess. Cause,
and I bring on like so many different artists and different genres. I can't stick to just like R&B and soul. Like that's kind of like putting myself in a box. So no, I play exactly what I want, and I love that, and they love it too. Well, I think I'm still there. So
do you? How much do you organize your shows ahead of time? Because obviously there's around the guests, so you research and stuff like that. But do you have prepared music as well where you're like, this is going to fit with the audience of the guest, or what's that like?
Yeah, so usually I would actually ask my guests, like, what are you listening to at the moment?
Right.
You know, and that kind of helps me as well to, like, not be repeating songs week by week. And
Mm-hmm.
it also opens the door of, like, I can discover new artists. So that really, really helps me, is asking my guests, okay, what are you guys listening to right now? What would you like me to play on the show? Okay, what, do you have any new singles coming out or anything? And yeah, that's kind of how I work the music for the show. And it's only an hour, the show, so I only get to play like 12 songs maybe per show.
Right.
Yeah,
That's still really cool though. I feel it bums me out a little bit that we can't play on this because we'll get copyright strikes.
Yeah. Think of that, yeah.
Yeah, and also you kind of, like, obviously this probably isn't how you go about it, but you get the opportunity to actually kind of pay artists through playing it on the radio. They get paid.
They get paid. Probably not that much now in Ireland,
but better than,
do you know?
better than on YouTube or Spotify.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they do get paid, and it's just great publicity for them.
Yeah,
especially like, you're getting songs played on RTE and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's great publicity for sure.
Nice. Have you had any really cool finds that people that you found through doing the show of like
cool
what are you
songs
listening to, and then they send something and you're like, this is so cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of any artists on top of my head right now, but there's been loads, like Big Pig. I don't know if you know Big Pig. Yeah. I'm just thinking of like just loads of Irish artists that come into mind.
That's cool. This Irish artist.
Kojak, the Fontaines DC.
Don't know.
You don't know Fontaines? Oh
I don't think
gosh,
so.
they're kind of huge in Ireland, but they're getting huge everywhere else now.
Cool.
But yeah, there's loads of cool bands out there, man. I love it.
What was the idea behind moving to Berlin?
So I initially came here to write my album.
Right.
So that was the plan. I said, right, I'm going to move here for like 9 months, and I'm going to come and write my album. And now I'm here, and I'm just like, will I ever leave?
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
What time of year did you come?
March.
But to write your album?
Yeah, I moved here in like March. Like,
so you haven't had a winter yet.
No.
Don't make you move home.
Everyone is saying that.
But you're also from Ireland. It's
exactly.
Probably worse, I would guess.
No, I think it's worse here, because I remember I was here last year, October or November, and I've never experienced cold like that in my life.
It's weird, yeah.
Like, Ireland is cold and windy and crap all the time, but the cold here is like, it's like dry or something.
Yeah.
There's something weird about the coldness.
Yeah, it's rough. But it'll be fine. Just, you can always visit home as well.
Oh no.
Well, is home Ireland? Because I understand your family moved to the UK when you were 18?
Yeah. When I was 17, 18, my family moved away to Essex, but...
And you chose to stay, which is unusual.
Yeah, I chose to stay. I was like to my mom, I'll come after college.
Why did you... Was it for college you chose to stay? Or?
Something like that. I chose for college, and I don't want to say love. Oh, that's so tacky. Like, why was I in love at 17?
That's okay. You're
that's
17.
So bad.
Yeah, get past.
Well, I guess I was in a relationship, and my mom's going to hear this, and she's probably going to be like, what? That's the reason you said it? I guess, yeah, I was in a relationship, and I just don't like change. I really hate change.
Also, you're like, if you're 17, 18, you're just the point where you're probably going to move away from home anyway. So it's not...
Exactly. I was going to be independent anyway, but it was just such a... I don't want to say it was a city. It was silly at the time because I became homeless and a lot of things happened to me. But I just had to move. Like, move away from my parents. Like, I just had to, like, be independent. Do you know? I think that was just the perfect timing.
Have you found after that experience that like when you're young, I mean, I had this as well, of just like you want to be really independent, and then later you find like trying to find a balance. Where have you been able to find the other side of people to depend on? Is it mostly through family or friends, or through something that's not a person, like music? Or
I guess I have a really strong community. Like, I have really, really, really good people around me who just really want to help me, and they see like some sort of like light in me, I guess. And you know, so shout out to my community, shout out to my, you know, my clan. You know, you are but that's like number one. Obviously my family as well is just like always there for me. I feel like you don't even need to shout out your family sometimes, because it's just like they have no choice but to be there.
No, they do have a choice.
Do you know?
Like, family still Some families don't
Yeah.
make the effort to be there.
Exactly.
So
I'm
it's
so
still
lucky.
valuable.
I'm so lucky to have really good family. And then also I guess music. Music is
Mhm.
literally my life. You know, when I'm sad, when I'm down, I can always just go back to music, and I feel like music is one thing that will never let me down.
Oh.
You know, it'll never. Well, apart from financially, but the money aside, it'll never let me down. You know, it's just it's my medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are your plans around trying to make money from the album, if I can ask? Or from the EP, sorry.
To be honest, I don't, it's such a bad mentality to have as an artist, but I don't see how in Jesus' name, please God, I'll make money from this album, but that's not my goal.
Right.
My goal is to share my story with my listeners and, you know, motivate them and encourage them and help them. And, I don't even think about money really with the EP. Maybe like the money I'm gonna lose, but I don't. You never know. Please God, I'm gonna speak into positivity and like, please God, I love to make money from the EP or the album, but that's not the primary goal. You know, the goal is to just give people good quality music and good storytelling and good songwriting, and yeah.
For your shows, you do lots of shows.
Yeah.
You've done shows as Toshín, you've done shows as Aretha Franklin.
Yes,
and
Nina Simone. Oh my God.
What's your mindset about doing shows? Are you really focused on your part and having a team to do the whole thing, or are you like trying to have eyes on everything and make sure everything's going smoothly?
Oh, it's so annoying. I'm obsessed with myself. I'm obsessed with Toshín. It's so bad. Anyone who knows me, Maya especially, knows that I can't turn off. I'm always on all the time. I'm just obsessed with Toshín. Oh, I always just have to, even if I try and delegate tasks to, you know, my team or my friends or, you know, anyone who wants to help, I still just need to be on top of everything. It's so unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know,
I have the same problem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this I've been doing Toshín since I was maybe 18 or something, 19. So it's been like nearly 10 years. But there is going to come a time where I'm just going to have to let go, you know, and just be like, right, if I have management and if I have this and if I have that, I just need to trust them to just, you know, just do it all for me, because what I'm finding is that as I am getting busier and as I am, you know, putting my energy into, you know, focusing on the shows and organising the shows and organising the radio show and organising the performances and the music and the writing, you know, as I'm doing that, I lose out on creativity, because there's just comes like a blockage where I sit down and I want to write and I want to be creative and I can't, because I'm so like tired from everything else that I'm doing. You know, I was only thinking of this like the other day. I was just like, oh, there needs to be a time, and the time needs to come very soon where I can just focus on the writing, because I feel like the EP should have been written by now and things should be written by now, but because I'm so focused on everything else, I don't have the mental capacity.
Yeah, it's also holds back. At least from I have the same thing where I just try to do everything, and it's or at least like keep my eyes on everything. It holds back the quality of the end product as well, because there's people who are really good at doing what they do that would love to be parts of projects. Yeah, and they want to do their thing as well. And it's a big part of like just building a team and having people that you trust to kind of do their thing.
Exactly. Trust. It's just trusting people and letting go, even if it's not to the quality that you want it to be, it will get there. Just knowing that it will get there, that like we all have different minds and the way we do things, so we just need to trust your team. As long as you know they have the intentions, like good intentions and a good heart. Like I feel like I'm giving advice to myself right now. Like, just trust your team.
If you could go back to 18-year-old Toshín when you started the project, what advice would you give yourself?
What advice would I give 18-year-old Toshín? Oh, I don't even know. I feel like I'm doing great. No, I'm joking. Advice I give to myself is to be consistent. You know, just be consistent and take breaks. Take breaks because I tend to just work and burn out and then restart. You know, be consistent, take breaks, and believe in yourself. You know, a lot of people might not know, but I feel like I don't believe in myself enough. You know, I used to work with a lot of songwriters who used to write for me up until living in my fantasy. You know, I had writer's block for like 7 years, and anytime I wrote something down or wrote a melody or a song, I just thought it was really bad.
Right.
You know, and then I went into the studio after writing fantasy with a producer, and they were like, Toshín, this is really good. Like, you know, so there's the amount of songs I've written in the last, like, since I was 18, 19, and I threw it in the bin because I was like, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. You know, they could have been like bangers, but yeah. Yeah.
Do you mostly write on paper, or you?
I write on paper. And I also write on, what you call it, like voice memos. I voice memo a lot. Like, my voice memos are in folders, and like I'm like, that's everything. So if I ever lost like my phone or like my voice memos,
it could be on some kind of cloud. Yeah,
definitely. You just don't know which cloud. Everyone says that's on the cloud, I'm sure. Somewhere. How do I access his cloud?
Yeah, we don't know how it works. Really save us. So you have, as we're recording, it'll be done by the time this comes out, but Extravaganza in a couple of days. What can you introduce the project?
So the Toshín Extravaganza is that's like, you can't say it any other way. It's Extravaganza. Is a show that I put on in Ireland last year, and it's a 2-hour show, just me. I don't like, in Ireland I did have an opening act, but in Berlin there's no opening act, and it's just a 2-hour show where I play a 2-hour set with my band, and it's all of my original music with some covers, and it's like a theatre show. Right. You know, it's very theatrical, and I have like outfit changes, and while I like change, I have special guests who come on and they sing and perform. And usually as well, before the show, they could be a DJ, they could be like pop-up, like the one in Berlin. There's a pop-up of Tuchem, a girl who comes on. She's actually she came from Ireland, and she puts like gems in people's teeth. I have some here.
Oh, damn. Nice.
So the Toshín Extravaganza is just a show that just, I want people, it's an environment that I want to create where people forget all their problems, and they forget, like, just for 2 hours. I love for you just come into the venue and just leave all your problems at the door and just like have a good time, and just, because like life is so hard, like life is hard enough, like, you know. And if I can create that space where people just come in and forget their problems, and they can go home and they can just feel better that they came, I'd be so happy. Like, that would make me so happy.
Is the event inspired by like a genre or a time or culture?
Not really. I guess it's something that is my thing, where I want to inspire people to have extravaganzas, you know. It's not really inspired. I guess I got the word extravaganza from watching a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race. Right. You know, I definitely got it from there. I'm not going to take credit for that. But no, it's something that I want to build, and I want it to inspire others to have their own extravaganzas. You know, maybe we can start like a extravaganza culture here, if there isn't one already in Berlin. I feel like Berlin has everything. But no, it wasn't really inspired by anything. It's just something that came to mind.
What do you think makes an extravaganza?
What makes an extravaganza is loads and loads of like dancing and loads of good vibes and good energy, and like, but also like theatrical. Like, it needs to be very theatrical. You know, I love theatre, and I love like acting, and just I love drama. Like, literally, I love spilling tea. So yeah, and also I feel like as well, it needs to be authentic. Right. Like, when I perform, and the songs I perform are all authentic to me. I don't just be like, oh, I read this book and it inspired me to write or something. No, it needs to be like a real life thing that happened to me for me to perform it. Yeah.
On the other side of events, on a more serious tone, you recently did a Safe Space for the Girls. Can you talk a little bit about that project?
Yeah. A Safe Space for the Girls is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and I finally got the opportunity to do it. Sorry. Whew. Oh, that was a nice yawn. I finally got the opportunity to do a safe space with the girls. It's an event only for females and non-binary and trans people, where we come together and talk about, sexual abuse and emotional abuse and any form of trauma that we've all been through as a child or even till present. And yeah, I had the first, I guess, event in Ireland back in June, and it was such a success, and it was so empowering, and it was so powerful, and I know it really helped a lot of people who have been through abuse, and I really do hope to bring it to Berlin. I just think it'll really help.
What was the format? Was it like a seminar or a concert, or kind of what's the idea?
Usually I people, I guess it was the first one in Dublin, but I guess there is spaces where people can just come and talk about these things, but I wanted my event to be different. I wanted it yes, let's have serious conversations, but also let's bring some light into this event as well. So the format I had I had some speakers, I had some poetry, some spoken word, and in between people telling their traumas and telling their stories, there was music. I would perform, my friends would perform as well. So it was we'll tell our stories and have a cry, and then literally after we'll just be dancing. So it was it was really nice balance.
It's a really delicate space to work in terms of people that are being super vulnerable. So you kind of have to be really aware of how everything's put together.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry. I had a team of people working with me. The Dublin Rape Crisis Centre came, and they helped me a lot. And there was phone numbers there to call, help centres, and there was people there that they could talk to, therapists there as well that they could talk to as well. So it was very it's very delicate, but I had a team of people there to help.
Was there anything surprising you learned from that experience, unexpected challenges, or something where you were like, oh, I kind of think I know what I'm doing in this, and then it was actually completely wrong?
I was really scared, to be honest. I was just oh God, this can go wrong.
This can actually go wrong.
No, this can actually go really wrong. I was really scared. But then the event happened, and I was just this is amazing. I was why didn't I do this earlier in my life, I guess I learned to be more confident in myself and more confident in the projects that I put on. I guess that's what I learned, really, just to be more confident in myself and believe in myself, I guess, again.
Surely helps with other projects as well, like the Extravaganza, where after doing that you're well, if the Extravaganza goes wrong, nothing really goes wrong. No one's really hurt. It's okay.
Exactly. No.
Cool. We've done about 45 minutes. 40 minutes.
Amazing. That's a lot. It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to cover? Anything you want to promote before we finish up?
I do have a song coming out. Yeah, I guess I can talk about. I don't know when in July it's coming out, but I do have a song coming out. It's a cover. My first cover I'm releasing.
Cover of what?
Cover of a song. I never in my life thought I'd release a cover. I was if I was ever to release music, it'll just be originals. But I met this artist called Janis Ian.
Okay.
She's really famous in America and in the world, really. She's this female empowering artist, and I met her in January for a Trad Fest festival in Ireland, and she lost her voice. She can't sing anymore, so she was actually the headliner of the festival, but she can't sing anymore, so she got 10 Irish artists to sing her album.
Oh, that's cool.
And we headlined Trad Fest, and I was one of the artists, and I sang her song Resist, which was amazing song, and it was in front of 2,000 people. It was this great, one of the best experiences of my life, and the reaction was crazy. People loved my version, so people were just kind of like, you need to release this song, and Janis Ian was like, yes, you need to release this
That's cool.
as Toshín. So with her permission, I recorded it with my band, and it's going to be my next single coming out sometime this month.
Awesome. Nice. Well, thank you very, very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who's still listening. If you can leave a review, that helps us a lot on Spotify. If you're on YouTube or if you're on like Instagram or something, sharing and interacting always helps us a lot. Yeah, thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you.